Sylvia, directly from Puerto Rico. She's an amazing Agile coach. I'm going to let her provide more details on her background, but she was a speaker at our Miami Agile International Conference in March. And now we're excited to have her back and share all her amazing knowledge with our virtual community. So welcome, Sylvia. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me and for all of you that joined. Do I start sharing my screen?
Yes, go for it.
Perfect. Share my screen. Okay. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for everyone who's joining today. I think we have a good group that we can take advantage of the time. As Regina said, I participated in the AIC 2025 back in March, and my topic was about mainly focus on facilitation and how we can facilitate agile culture transformation in hybrid environments, in hybrid both different methodologies and in hybrid like we are right now, remote and with people in the office. Based on that presentation that I did, I gave my tips, the things that have worked for me. And one of them is related to liberating structures. And when I asked to the group if they knew what liberating structure was, not many people knew. So I think that I wanted to take the opportunity and expand my presentation to talk a little bit more in depth about some of these liberating structures. So I'll talk more about that. First of all, hola everyone. Like Regina said, I'm in Puerto Rico, so I speak Spanglish, both English and Spanish. I'm a director of consulting services in a global company called CGI. It is all over the world, so maybe you've heard of it or maybe not. We're a consulting group, and there I am a release train engineer. I'm also an Agile coach, and I've been a Scrum Master. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked with banking, and I've worked also, currently I work with disaster recovery based on some federal funds to help Puerto Rico after the multiple disasters we've had, starting with a hurricane in 2017 until earthquakes and other hurricanes that we have since. So we manage the funds there. We do the system that manages the funds to help the recovery of the island. Other than that, I enjoy teaching. I did take my Scrum Master certification in SAFe with Regina, so I can vouch for her on how it was. It was really good and it inspired me to continue. I really do like to teach. I am also a Reiki practitioner. I am a TT or an auntie. I don't have kids, but I do have my niece and nephew. I like to travel. I am Puerto Rican, and in my past life, in my 20s, I studied interior design. So I really do enjoy creating presentations. I like to make them fun because of my interior design background. So that's a little bit about me. And let's continue. Get started. I'm going to tell you at the end the tools that I used because I know from the experience in the speaking engagement that not everyone has access to tools within their company's policies, their security policies. But if you do, I'll share you the tool that I used. So today, I'm going to talk very fast about the role of the facilitator and why it's important to learn different type of structures, right? Of why we need to as facilitators. I'm going to give a brief overview of what liberating structures are. And I want to present to you 3 structures today, okay? I have an exercise for one of them. So we'll see how we go. We can try out if we have time for others. But let's see how we go with time and we're able to practice, okay? And then we'll close with some feedback on how it went. I wanted to start with the facilitator role, right? Many of us, if we're Agile coaches or even if we're project managers, product owners, we find ourselves always facilitating some type of meeting, some type of discussion, either if it's a project plan, either if it's a retrospective, lessons learned. We find ourselves in a moment of time, in whatever role we have, we can find ourselves facilitating. And that is one of the many roles that we have in our Agile coaching wheel. We'll see that we are mentors, we're coaches, We're trainers as well, and we're also facilitators, among many things. And I asked AI to send a picture, and I use this in my speaking engagement of what I think the importance of the facilitator is, and with the Agile mindset is that we know different frameworks. We can work in different frameworks, but the important thing is how do I use them and when do I use them, right? So I feel that it's like a Mary Poppins with a bag of tricks. When do I need to use each technique or each framework or each tool, what works best depending on the situation where I find myself, okay? So the facilitator's role is to guide a group, right, toward a goal. So we want to encourage discussion, we want to be able to manage tasks and create a safe environment as we're doing it, right? We want to have, in a meeting, we want to be prepared. It's very important that we're always prepared in order so we can get our inputs, we go with our inputs, we go with our outputs, and we can get our outcomes, right? We don't want to have meetings just to have meetings. We want to be prepared and we want to get something out of it, okay? But in the question that I asked, what are the challenges of facilitation? For me, is engagement. It's a little bit hard to get people to engage. Sometimes they don't answer the questions, not only not on camera, but complete silence, right? So that is one of the challenges that I found. So it's very important that when I come to these, for example, a retrospective, I want to be prepared on what I want to get out of my group. And it's my role as facilitator to get them there. I want them to collaborate. I want them to answer me some questions. I want them to come up with action items. I want to assign them, right? So it's very important that us in our role of facilitator, we get them there. But as I said, it's not always as easy. So that is why we have different techniques to use, and I wanted to present liberating structures. It sounds so hippie, I think. Liberating structures. What are liberating structures? Liberating structures are mini structures, like microstructure techniques that are designed to encourage participation, creativity, and collaborations of the groups, no matter the size, right? In the website that I'm putting the links, and I'm going to be sharing my presentation with you, so you have all the websites and you can also download the app. It's going to give you each of the liberating structures. This website has 33, but there are more, and as you learn with other practitioners, you'll see that there are more that are not necessarily in this specific website, but this one has 33 that are really good. I mainly use 5 or 6. I haven't done them all, but for me, they have been very good. There is an app. You can download it in Apple or you can download it in Android. And the app is super cool because it gives you the step-by-steps. It's going to give you every step, what you need to do, how you're going to set up the group. So it's very easy to do, and it's just practicing, okay? The important thing is that you are brave enough to use them, okay? So you have all the tools there that is going to show you the how, the why, the purpose, what can go wrong, what are the traps that can happen if people do not participate, how you can get them to participate, okay? So I encourage you to go to those websites so you can see it. Okay. Like I said, there's 33, right? Each of them have the steps, how much time you should do them, okay? For my team, they complain a lot, or they giving me the feedback that these are too fast, like the timing is not enough. But there is a purpose to that, right? We want to be agile also in our thinking. We want to promote fast thinking because time is money, and I cannot have a 7-hour meetings for people to brainstorm, to innovate, right? Time is money as well. So these structures are timed with a purpose. It's going to tell you, give 1 minute for this, give 10 minutes for that, and you can vary it according to your situation. But it's super cool because, like I said, in the website, in the app, it's going to tell you, right? The other cool thing about it is that you don't have to do only one. You can combine multiple ones together. And this matrix, which also you have the PDF link, this matrix can tell you how to mix and match them. And although I'm looking that this is in Spanish, I can find then the one in English. It can tell you what is going to get you. It can get you to find patterns, to get prototypes, for brainstorming, for innovation, to discover solutions. It tells you this microstructure is good for this, or this liberating structure is good for this, okay? So this was created by a couple of people, and they started creating these little structures on how to accommodate teams, how to get to an output, right? And guiding your team or your group into getting those action items, okay? I combine them. There is one that I combine with everything, the one that I think all of you will know. That one works with anything and everything, okay? Any questions until now? Anything anyone wants to add? Let me see the chat. Those mixes are called strings. That is correct. These are called strings and sequences, and you can combine them. And they usually span for several hours. Yes, there are ones that can be long. In my context, I've used them only for shorter meetings, but definitely you can combine. Thank you for that, Maru. Okay. What are the benefits of using these structures, right? Why do I want to use this? It's working for me how I'm managing my groups. I give them an agenda and this is what you're doing, right? What are the benefits? It promotes inclusivity and equal participation. There are some that you'll see that I'm going to show today that is going to help get people to participate, even those that are quiet people. It fosters creativity and innovation. Right, it's going to help people with different perspectives get together and come up with ideas. Okay, it's an efficient use of time. Like I was saying, they are very time boxed, so you can get the most of the time that you are using these liberating structures. It's going to get you better collaboration and engagement. Like I said, the first time I tried this out, the day before, I was trying to get my group to engage into some ideas. No one said anything. No one spoke. No one said anything. The very next day, after I learned how to use one of the liberating structures, they came up with ideas. I don't know how, but they came up with ideas. Okay. Clarity and action-oriented results, since we're giving them steps and instructions of what they need to do at a timely basis. It's more clear on what it is that you're asking of your team, you're asking of your group. And they're easy to learn, to adapt, and to scale. Like Maru is saying, some can last several hours, even multiple days, so you can scale it, you can adapt it to your own form. There is one that I'm going to show you that I adapted to my own form and the way that I learned it. So you can adapt them, you don't have to go by the book, how they say it, just it's an idea, and then you adapt as best as you want. Just like in agility, right? We adapt it in terms of our context. Okay, so let me show you the first one. The first one is called MAT-T. And I'm starting with this one because that was the check-in. The check-in was a liberating structure, the way that I learned it, called MAT-T. In the website, and I have asterisks there because I want to be very clear that this is the way that I learned it, but in the website, it's going to give you different instructions, but I do want to show based on my real experience. So MAT-T provokes fast reflection, fast actions, right? I did it as a check-in, but you can do it in for different things, right? Because having those cards and move them along, asking those questions, it generates a fast response and honest feedback, right? We can use that to get some feedback on how the sprint went. You can use it on getting feedback on whatever you want. It depends on the questions that you want to use, okay? It's going to focus the attention on that question, and you can see the variety of answers, and everyone is able to answer, okay? And depending on what question you ask, is how if you want to unleash any difficult topic or not. It depends on how you want to use it. Okay. How do you start? You started with a sentence that prompts fast thinking, right? I didn't tell me yes or no. I didn't ask you things like yes or no, or I know Saba answered in the scale of 8 of how she was feeling, but I didn't give you a scale. I gave you open-ended questions so that you can answer. So you can ask those questions in different ceremonies, and I'll give you some examples. Okay. It's important that you match those questions to the purpose of the session, right? So I asked some questions of how you're feeling to get to know each other. What roles do you have? How do you feel about facilitation? That's what I did in the check-in, right? To get a feeling of all of you, of your knowledge on these liberating structures, if you knew nothing, if you knew some, right? So I tailored the questions depending on the topic, which is my topic is about liberating structure. There are no right or wrong answers, right? So this is more to get how people are thinking. And generally, it's good if you go 5 to 7 questions. Like 2 questions is not enough, 3 questions is not enough. It's to get them going. Okay? Another tip that I had is when you're doing for some ceremonies, you can throw in some random questions related, but not necessarily related. Like I asked, how are you feeling today? It's not just about the topic. If you're doing it for a retrospective, it's not just about the retrospective. You can throw in like any other random question, but that makes sense, right? Just to loosen up the crowd, right? And get them going before asking any difficult question, okay? And where can you use it? These are just my topics and ideas. You can use them whenever. Daily stand-up, you can use it. For retrospective, you can use it. For problem solving, planning, sprint reviews, for check-ins like I just did, for checkouts like I just did. For example, in my current role as a release train engineer, that is a role of the SAFE framework. And in the SAFE framework, we do these big rooms PI planning. Maybe even if you're not in SAFE, maybe you do these PI plannings. However, since I have a big group, I don't always have the opportunity to do a big retrospective on how the whole PI or the program increment, how the program increment was, right? Our program increments are 5 sprints, 2 weeks each. So when I don't have the time to do a big retrospective with my full team, I start my PI planning activity with this type of questions to get a feedback on how the PI experience went for them. How could we have improved? How did you feel the PI went? What was the most challenging thing? So I can gather feedback on how the team was feeling about the past increment. Okay? So that is a fast way to do a retrospective. Any questions, comments on that? Had anyone heard about that? Okay. I did use a tool. It's called WordWall. It's another website, and I'm using Canva to present. And because I'm using Canva to present, I can embed it. But if you don't have those tools, you can use a PowerPoint and just pass the questions along, or you can use polls and you can ask the questions along, okay? Here are some examples of questions that you can put for different ceremonies, as you can see here. Today, I most focus on for the daily, something I need support with, what might block my day is. See, these are questions instead of doing the regular retrospective. And that way, maybe we can get more engagement. And here are more examples of the other ceremonies. Okay. I'm seeing the time, so I'm going to continue moving along, but I am going to share this presentation that has the idea. And since we are in the AI revolution, I want to be very honest with you that you can ask AI to give you some prompts to help you, right? So I wanted to show it there that it's not all on me, but AI can help you in finding those prompts and those questions, and then you can add the ones that you like the best, okay? The next liberating structure, 1, 2 for all. This is the one that I think everyone has seen or experienced. Even if you haven't heard of it, you have experienced it, because I do remember I experienced it in my SAFE trainings with Regina, okay? Why do you want to do this? This is one that is going to help everyone participate, okay? This one helps everyone participate and everyone get ideas. How do we do this? What we do is, depending on the topic, right? Everything is based on the topic that you're asking, right? You ask a question, and you get the full team independently to reflect for 1 minute. So if I ask you all, that was going to be the exercise, but let's do it here. If I ask you all for a minute reflect, what superpower you want to have, right? Because this is for fun. But definitely you can do it in a brainstorming session. After the minute passes, then you take your team and you break them in pairs. And that's what happened to me, that when I asked everyone, give me ideas on how to improve our Scrum Master meeting, right? Our Scrum of Scrums. No one said anything. The next day after I learned this, I asked them, what can we do to improve our Scrum Master meeting? Self-reflect and write it down for 1 minute. And then I put them in a breakout room in pairs. Okay, a good tip about facilitators. Take someone that speaks with someone that doesn't speak that much, because this person is going to get the other person to speak. Okay, don't put two people that don't speak together, because nothing is going to happen. But that putting them in pairs makes them more safe. They feel more comfortable speaking rather than in a big group. Okay? After you put them in pairs, then we're going to put them in a double date with another pair. And they're going to be discussing the things that they came up with. And then after that, we'll see all the discussion in a group. Okay, that is the 1, 2 for all. I've seen this a lot in trainings where we put each other in groups of 4, and then they change us up in other groups, and then they change us up in 2 groups, and then they change us in 3. That is very common in training sessions, right? So this one is really good. This one, it's like the one that can go with all the other liberating structures. You can use this for every other liberating structure. Okay. In Puerto Rico, we use mayonnaise and ketchup sauce for our complement food. And we put it on fries, we put it on plantains, we put it on sandwiches. So we put it on everything. So for me, in good Puerto Rican, this is like the mayo ketchup of the liberating structures. You can use it with all, okay? Tips, you don't always have to start 1, 2 for all. You can do 1 for all. You can do all in the reflection, all discussion, and then 4, 2. You can move it along in however you wish. It doesn't have to be 1, 2, 4, all in that same order. It depends on your topic and what you're trying to get. Okay? Questions on that? Any comments on that?
I want to know about the mayo and the ketchup.
Mayo ketchup. Mayonnaise and ketchup. Mayonnaise, ketchup, and garlic. And we put it on fries, on plantain, and all that. But yeah, I like it because I'm going to go to the other liberating structure, because this one, you can use it with all your other liberating structures, right? You can organize your other liberating structures and get everyone, this is the topic that we want to discuss, right? This is the topic we want to discuss. Self-reflect first, then we'll put you in pairs, and then we'll put you in groups of 4. Okay? Cass, do you have a question?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got a question. So does the time that's spent in each group match the size of the group? So when you're reflecting on your own, 1 minute, in pairs, 2 minutes?
Yes, that's a
4,
recommendation. Yeah, that's a
Right.
recommendation, or you can extend it a little bit more, 6 minutes, but I wouldn't put a lot of time, because you want to, because since we can use this like for brainstorming, for example, you want them, give me an idea on how to improve our next sprint. So 1 minute. And then we put them in pairs and they discuss. And then we put them in 4. And when they're in 4, we can ask them, choose 1 idea from as a group. Then when we come in all, when we have multiple groups talking together, they can all come with the ideas. We can have discussions. We can ask, why did you say this idea? Or why did you bring up this topic? Because the 1, 2 for all, it's like for an extended meeting. Let's say for an hour meeting of a retrospective, we don't want to spend the hour in the 1, 2 for all, because we want to have time for doing discussions. So the recommendation, yes, it's 1, 2, 4 minutes, but sometimes it could be the 1 minute, maybe 2 to 3 minutes in pairs, or 4 minutes or 6, but I wouldn't extend this exercise more than 10 minutes. Because you can repeat it again. Let me do another topic, and now let's get the ideas.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Of course. So this was like the example, the practice we wanted to do, but I want to move along, but it was going to be like self-reflect. I was going to give you 6 minutes to share your pair of superpowers, right? And then you were going to go in groups of 4, so you can pick one. So this is about superpowers, but again, it could have been about a retrospective or the biggest action item that we wanted, right? It depends on the topic that you want to use. And then we come all in the main room and discuss the why. Okay, so when it's for planning session, retrospective, problem solving ideas, this big discussion is going to have more time so we can discuss. Okay? And the third one, these are the examples. Again, topic, what's blocking progress that needs collective problem solving? So you ask each person to take a note of the top blocker. In pairs, you share the blockers. In 4, you discuss the patterns that you found or if there are things in common. And then as a team, you identify the key areas to address, right? And here is when we'll have a bigger discussion, and then you can do dot voting, which is the best. You can assign it who's going to take that action, right? So that's why this part is shorter, okay? And these are more ideas. Again, AI helped me, but I've done this on my own without AI. It's just for this presentation. You can ask AI, but here is a topic of the challenge your team face in the sprint for planning, what potential risks or dependencies, because sometimes people, you ask them and maybe they don't think about it, but if you make them reflect and then put them in pairs, one of them can think and start sparking up some ideas, okay? And I put here for working agreements. It's not just for ceremonies. It can be for other things, right? It could be for anything. I love this one. I really do love this one. Okay, this one is my favorite. Okay, and then finally, the last one that I'm presenting today. Again, there's 33. There's a lot, and I personally have used like 7 with my teams, and I've used them with my big teams. This one is called tricks. Okay, like tricks are for kids, but tricks with a Z. Okay, this one, what I like about it is that it makes you think, but a little bit in the opposite direction. So instead of focusing what we're doing well, you're going to ask the question of what is not working. You're going to ask the question backwards, and that's going to like refocus how we think. Instead of always thinking on the positive, we can start thinking more in the areas of improvement, not to say negative, right? We can focus this to find behaviors or patterns that the team should stop doing and how we can improve them, okay? And this could be serious conversations that can be done in a good way, right? And in a respectful way, it could be done as well to get some action items, okay? I'm going to give you the instructions, and then I'm going to show you a real-life example that I use. How do you do this? You do this in 3 steps. The first step is going to ask the question again, a question that you want to be answered like backwards. Like, what is going to make this sprint unsuccessful? What could happen so that we don't meet the goals in this sprint? So we are not meeting the goals. What could happen? They change our priority, people get sick, a user story did not have all the requirements, right? In the first round, people are going to put all those notes that they think is going to make the sprint unsuccessful. That is round 2. Round 1. Round 2, you're going to ask them, is there anything that you've seen that we've done before to make the sprint not successful? Like all the things that a sprint that can happen for the sprint not to be successful. In the second one, we want to ask the team, and what have we done? Like out of all these things, what have you observed of us as a team that we've done this? We haven't asked the questions for the refinement. We didn't clarify those requirements correctly. We didn't ask for help. We didn't mention it in the daily stand-up. Like all the things that we listed that could go wrong, then you ask the team, well, what have you observed from us that we've done this before, right? And then in the third step, you're going to ask for action items. So what can we do to improve those items? Okay? So instead of saying, how can we make our sprint successful? How can we achieve our goal? We're asking, How do we not achieve the goal of a sprint? What are all the things that could go wrong? And then if we want to retrospect on ourselves, what out of all of those things, what have we done? To be honest, let's be honest. And then we find action items. Okay? I'm going to show you an example. Not all has to do with ceremonies. As the RT, I have to do the expectations of my roles, all the assignment expectations, the administrative part that I don't like, right? And I've done them multiple times. I'm trying to get ideas. So I created focus groups from my teams. I took a developer, a QA member, a product owner, the leaders, and a Scrum Master. And I asked, this is an example. And here we can use the three liberating structures, okay? I can do the check-in with the math team to get the feeling of what they think a Scrum Master is or what the Scrum Master does. I can do that as a check-in. Then in the tricks, I do round one. I ask, what actions or characteristics can an unsuccessful Scrum Master exhibit? That was the question. Okay. Then I did the 1, 2 for all. Think about it for a minute and write it down. And then I put them in groups, like you see there, room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. Not necessarily there were 2 people, there could have been 3 or 4. But I put them in group, I made them self-reflect, and then I put them in group. And then I came back and they posted the things that they think an unsuccessful Scrum Master exhibits. Any Scrum Master, not the ones in the team, but any Scrum Master experience that they had. Okay. So I started with Matt T as a check-in. I'm doing the treats as for me to get input on what expectations I can add for the Scrum Masters. And then I organize them to give me the outputs in the 1 for all. Instead of 1, 2 for all, 1 for all. Okay. Because in room 1, there were probably 4 people. In room 2, there were 4 people. In room 3, there were 4 people or 3 people. So not necessarily the 1, 2 for all. That's what I'm trying to say. Then after they did this, in the second round, I said, okay, out of all of this, what have you observed in our team? Okay. And then again, self-reflect, look at them for a minute, and then I put them back and decide the ones that you see. Or this one, you can do them in breakout rooms, or you can do it as an open discussion. And then after they observe, and I can give them the instruction of how many I want them to tell me, right? It all depends on the outputs that you want for your meeting, right? What action items you want for your meeting. And then in the third round, I said, okay, out of these that you observed that they chose 4, right? That's why I only have 4 and there's more here. Out of these that you observe, what action items can we take? And then I put them in groups again. They discussed some action items and came back. And if I wanted to expand this more, I could have voted, right? And that's why the liberating structure gives everyone a voice, everyone collaboration, promotes collaboration and creativity, and everyone can vote. And by voting is how you create this space that everyone can participate. So this is, I also like this one. I use it a lot. I've used it for how can it be a team not be empowered as a retrospective. You can use this like in a user story. Look at this user story. What can go wrong with this user story? What will make this user story not pass the definition of done? And maybe those are things that the team are not, they're just accustomed to look at this user story, refine it, tell me the estimate, but they're not thinking more about it, right? And you can get them to think it in this way. You don't have to do a whole presentation part. I do it because I love doing it, but you don't have to do it. It's just asking those questions like, look at this user story and tell me, think for a minute, look at it. What will make this story not pass the definition of done or the acceptance criteria, right? Any questions here on that one? Very good. I just realized that we're until 7:30, Regina, I'm sorry. We could have done the superpowers. We can go back and do it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we're till 7:30. You have
I'm
time.
sorry. For some reason, I thought I get even with Ali telling me. So sorry. Okay. So, the treats. The treats, again, when you can use it for retrospective. Instead of saying the positive, you can say it like, what are all the things a team can do to not work well together? You know that in our retrospectives, or if you don't know, it's important to focus our retrospective on what is happening with the team, right? If it's a new team, you can do what is going, what did we do well, how we can improve. But when you're with a very mature team that you've been working together, in my case, for almost 5 years with the same team, if you ask the same thing over and over, you're not going to get results. And every sprint or every moment is different. So there could be a moment where they are working in collaboration with another team, and that can create conflict. There could be a moment where what they've been working on produce a lot of bugs, a lot of defects. So you can focus your retrospective on that. So you can do this here, like what would have done, what can we do to not produce bugs? I don't think that's the best question, I'm sorry. But you can do your retrospective in this backwards way. Like I explained at the beginning, what can we do to not achieve our goals, right? If you're starting a new project, if you're starting with a new team, you can say, what behaviors have you seen from the team that will not be successful? Or what behaviors we see from the teams that will not make us work well together, right? We have to be respectful how we ask the question. We don't want to feel them that they are being attacked. So we have to be very careful how we ask the question. And like the Scrum Master one, I was very emphatic to say, not necessarily the Scrum Masters that you're working with, but in general, any Scrum Master, right? If you're in the middle of a project, you can do like some type of checking to see how it is. Like I said, for the sprint refinement, you can take a user story. You can stay on that user story for a little while and say, tell me all the things that can happen that the acceptance criteria will not be met. Oh, you're missing telling me the roles. You're missing telling me if this moves to another workflow, right? And maybe that sparks the question rather than the QA team finding it when they are in defect mode, or for the developers finding it when they're developing and they forgot to ask something in the refinement or in the planning. For problem-solving workshop, you can identify cross-team behavior or habits that might sabotage coordination and deliverable. I've had a lot of situations where teams have to work together and have not been so successful. Like he said, she said, they didn't collaborate. So you can ask the questions like, what behaviors do teams exhibit when they're not working well together? Lack of communication, things like that. And then in this project that we were just working on, what did you see? And what can we then do to improve it, right? So it depends on how you ask the question, okay? Like I did mine for the roles improvement. I did a retrospective about empowerment because that was my PI theme. And in the PI theme, I like to do my PI plannings with a theme. And the theme was empowerment. So I said, what makes a team not feel empowered? So I asked them backwards. And then what have you exhibited and what we can do to empower you as a team, right? So it's a different way to get the same result. Does that make sense? Awesome. Let me go back to the math T one, to the examples of the math T. Okay. For the math T, again, here you see in the retrospective, right? Something that worked really well this sprint, one thing I would change, a moment I felt proud of, one thing I learned, what I need more in the next sprint is, the one word that described this sprint for me is. If you want to do this as a check-in, this could also work as the talking points for the actual retrospective. So you don't have to do the retrospective really fast with the math T. You can do it like with the polls and start getting the answers. So if you have collaboration tools like whiteboards, you can see the answers and find the common ground and then put them in 1, 2, 4 all. Out of everything that we answered here, right? What do you think are the top concerns? And you can make them think 1 minute, reflect, look at them, put them in pairs, put them in groups of 4. So you can mix and match these liberating structures. And again, you can use this as a starting point, okay, for their full retrospective, for example. In the planning, one thing I want to focus on this sprint is that could help you listen to your team members to see what they have interest, because sometimes in my experience, I don't know your experiences, which is an anti-pattern, but sometimes the work is assigned to the developer without giving a choice. And maybe with this check-in, you will hear the interest, and maybe a quiet developer you didn't know had interest in doing a specific work, right? So this is something that can help you also understand your team and better distribute the work, okay? And in the brainstorming, an idea I've been sitting on, a bold solution no one has mentioned yet. If there were no limits, I would do what? What surprises me about this challenge is, again, this is going to help you start getting those ideas flowing. Okay? These are some examples of the math team. Any questions, comments, anything anyone wants to share? Anyone has tried out? I saw that some of you had experience. Would you like to discuss some of the experiences you had, or which ones have you tried? Let me see who it was. Angela was aware. I saw Maru had discussed. Sarushi familiar with it and used it. Are you here? Do you feel comfortable in sharing with us which ones you used? Let me see if you're still here.
Hi, Silvia, Carol.
Hi. Hola, Carol.
Hola. Well, I use the 1, 2, 4 for a group, a big group, maybe 30 people, and we use it for in order to construct, build a concept. That's what very interesting. Yes, and also this about what happened if. But you have to be very carefully because you can think that the product owner is the one that you are. So we make what could happen with the team. So what kind of team could be that get that failure, this initiative, as example. So we talk about everything. Don't be don't look for improvements, things like that, self-learned. So that help us to join with our values and our commitment with the team.
Thank you for sharing, Carol. Yes, I do believe they're very powerful, and they can help you get more information. And this one, like I had mentioned, you can use it with all the other ones, right? You can definitely work on it with all the other ones. And it was a very good question to ask about the time. Again, each structure is going to tell you the time. I play with the time a little bit, but I don't like to expand a lot. I want to give them the short time the structure tells me, so that they can practice this fast thinking. It's taking my team a while, and I tell them, and in Teams, if you use Microsoft Teams, the breakout rooms has the time. So it brings them back really fast. Zoom does it as well. And they've been with me 3 years, and they still have not they still feel that it's like very aggressive how it takes them out, but they're getting used to it. And I explained to them why, like the why. We want to get to fast answer. We want to get to fast solutions. Let me see here. I gave you some references here that you can have. The matching matrix for the math team, like I said, I use what the website is, Word Wall. So it gives you the cards, it has a lot of things. I think it's for teachers, really. It's not necessarily for facilitators. And that's the one that I was able to move the cards at the beginning. But if your company has limitation, has security issues, if you have Microsoft Teams, you can use the polls. If you are able to share your screen, you can share like a PowerPoint and pass each slide. Those are my ideas. If you have whiteboards, you can work on the whiteboard also to do it. If you're in person and you have those big Post-its, you can do it, although they're very expensive and we don't want to use them on the cards, but you can use them as well. There are different ways on how we can do this liberating structure. For the one-to-for-all, the best way is using breakout rooms. If you are in person, it's putting them together and moving them in the space, like creating the space in the room so there isn't a lot of chatter. When we used to have those Scrum Master certifications in person, they would put us in tables and then move us around. So that's another way. For the tricks, oh, sorry, I left here. For the tricks, you can be creative, right? For the tricks, you can be creative. I've used whiteboards. I'm missing Jamboards a lot. I use Jamboard a lot. Regina taught me that one. You can use those collaborative times.
I recognize your stickies and I was like, oh my God, those are Jamboard stickies.
Those are Jamboards.
I was like, I miss those too.
Oh my God, it was so easy. Yes. But if you have those collaborative tools, or just do a PowerPoint, because again, as facilitators, we want to create the space and not just the metaphorical safety space, but the actual space where they are going to contribute. So that is why Regina was saying here in the sticky, like this was a Jamboard and I created the space. In this block is where you're gonna put these stickies. In this block is where you're gonna put these stickies. In this block is where you're gonna put the stickies, because that is our role as facilitator, to guide them. And if we don't give them a space where they're gonna collaborate and the correct instructions, again, we may not get to the purpose that we want to get, okay? Yeah, these are the three that I have. There are more. I thought I would run out of time, but apparently I have time. But there are more that I can give you some ideas. There is one called Open Space that Regina was talking about in her coaching sessions on Saturday. This one, Open Space, it's creating multiple topics at the same time, and someone and the team can join to the topic they want. How did I use this? In my PI planning events, this is the way I do my PI plannings, because my team is different and we have to adapt, right? Our PI planning events are divided into 4 days. Instead of having 2 full days, we have little pieces of the planning sessions within 4 days. And because it's the only opportunity that I have my full team engaged together, right, in the same meeting, the full team, I always create one of the days to be a training day. So I do like a lunch and learn, and I've done different topics. So for this open space, because I was very excited about learning a lot of liberating structures, I created the open space, and I found 5 or 6 different members from my team, and each of them were giving a different topic. One member was doing about data analysis. One was doing about sprint estimation and capacity. One was talking about QA automation. So everyone could join whichever space they wish, and everyone got training on whatever they wanted. So that was one that is called Open Space, and you can do it. You can do it in terms of brainstorming, right? You can select a topic and find a facilitator and then come back together, everyone. Like all of you are going to discuss an idea on automation. All of you are going to discuss an idea about AI. All of you are going to discuss an idea about retrospect, right? And then you can come back. That's another way that you can use that open space. And another one that I've used, it was very challenging. It's called Troika Consulting, okay? Troika Consulting. That one, it's very good if you want to do like mentoring sessions. Let me find a matrix here. Troika, this one here is called Troika Consulting. It says it's good to discover solutions day to day. It's good for action items, and it's good for prototyping. In the Troika Consulting is where you can do like, we're consulting and we can put each other in three, right? And one is going to be the consultant and two are going to be asking questions. So maybe you can do this for development and you can find an SME that is more senior and get two that have questions and you can consult, right? Or you can find someone that is a PO, sorry, the one person is the one that consult and the other two are the ones that have the questions. I'm gonna review that again. So sorry again. The two ask questions, the two listen to the one person asking questions. One person asks questions, one person asks questions, the other two are listening. So this is creating active listening. Then after the one person this says what is their situation, the other two go away. So if you're remote, you just take out the person from the breakout room and leave the other two discussing. Or if you're in person, the structure says to turn around, like physically turn around in the chair, right? Then the other two are going to consult each other to give them ideas, to give them mentoring, to give them coaching on the situation that they brought. So that one, you can use it to help if you have a junior and more senior people, or if you want to have a discussion like all your functional team together, talking about the situations that they're having with their stakeholders, and then one can share their situation and two can give them ideas. So that is going to promote also within the teams to give each other support, to give each other mentoring. Right. So that one is another one that is really good. Does anyone have questions there? Okay, perfect. So those are the ones that I've tried. I've tried the Troika, I've tried the tricks, I've tried the 1, 2, for all for everything. The celebrity interview is the same. It's more or less like asking the person questions, a lot of questions. There's others for the 9 whys. It's very similar to a problem-solving workshop. If you see them, you'll see that there's some ideas that you may have already known, but this is going to give you a way to structure better, okay? The other one that is very good, but it's also a little bit, you have to be very careful, is the one called Heard, Seen, Respected. That one is good for conflict management. When people do not feel heard, when people do not feel seen, or when people do not feel respected. And that could be done, again, with the 1, 2, for all, or put them in pairs. And ask them the question, when has there been a situation where you haven't felt heard? When has there been a situation when you haven't feel respected? And you will find patterns in that. And you can find ways to improve upon that. And that is going to create also empathy between the team members, because maybe they didn't know that they were making the other person not felt heard or not feel respected. That one is very a little bit controversial. You have to be very sensitive to the topic of how to facilitate it, but it's very good also to get that from the team. Any questions, comment, any other feedback, or any questions you may have? Okay. Well, I think we still have some more time. but that was more or less all of my presentation. So I could have brought more. It's just I thought my time was going to be more limited. I was going to talk more, but I encourage you to practice it. They're all very good. Again, try them out. No one is going to tell you if you did it correctly or not. You just try it out and see how it goes, and then you start adapting them to yourself, and adapting them to the context of your group. Okay. Any other questions or anything I can answer for you? I think we're hungry here.
Wayne has a question.
Wayne, do you have a question, or are you putting your hands up?
Or maybe he was clapping.
I
I'm
think it was
sorry.
a
I was just
clapping.
basically saying good job. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. I hope you get something out of this.
Oh, but
I
of
hope
course.
I hope you
The,
enjoyed it.
the thing, I'm a traditional waterfall guy, PMP for like 2 decades. And the whole sprint, agile aspect puts so much emphasis on interpersonal and group facilitation and communication. That's really the difference between the two philosophies of, group and project management. And so this is really good.
Thank you, thank you. I hope you're able to try it out. It works for anyone that is managing
Well,
teams, right? Doesn't matter that
first I
you're.
need a job, but
I know,
I
I
think this will
know.
help.
Yes. You can try it out at home as well.
There you go. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's where you try out everything first.
Exactly. What did not work in this recipe in the food? I could have done better. I did post the presentation. I don't know if you're able to get it from this chat, but if not, I'll give it to Ali as well. But definitely, I encourage you to try it. I haven't tried them all, but I really do enjoy them. And I really do enjoy doing these facilitations and preparing them for the team. Not sure if anyone else has any questions. Regina?
No, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Mhm.
Look, and Theo's giving you also a
Thank you.
no, this was
Thank you.
we really appreciate it. Look, and you're getting little hearts from Ali. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.